Welcome to our Leader Within series. My name is Richard Fontenay, and today we explore navigating tough talks, strategies for difficult workplace conversations. So, strap on your earphones, sit back, relax, and take a break from whatever you are doing for the next half hour or so. And if you're driving while listening to this podcast, please take care out there. Now, before we get started, here's a short reminder that we do a podcast every Wednesday. So I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Now, let's face it, navigating difficult conversations in the workplace is really no walk in the park. Whether it's addressing performance issues, resolving conflicts, or navigating organizational changes, these conversations can often feel like walking on, on thin ice. But here's the thing, avoiding them only makes matters worse. And that's where I come in. In this podcast, we're diving deep into the whys and hows of navigating tough talks. From finding common ground to managing emotions and building trust. We've got the strategies and the insights that you need to tackle even the toughest conversations with confidence and with great grace. Now, before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let's take a moment to reflect on why these conversations are so darn important. Unresolved tensions bubbling underneath the surface are like a simmering pot of soup on the stove. And if they're not dealt with, they'll boil over. And they make a mess throughout the workplace. So avoiding these conversations not only breeds resentment and distrust, but also hinders productivity and stifles growth. It's like trying to sweep dust underneath a rug. It may look tidy for a moment, but eventually it reveals a mess. But don't just take my word for it. Listen to the stats that back this up. Employees dealing with workplace conflict are 12% less productive. Higher management and leaders spend more than 20% of their time in conflict resolution. Workplace conflicts cost companies an average of $359 billion per year. Turnover due to conflict is a major measurable cost. About half of the teams experiencing conflict reported losing people, either through quitting or through determination. An unresolved conflict leads to stress, which results in $1.7 billion in lost annual revenue. Stress-related health issues and decreased employee well-being can really impact the overall productivity. And there are other costs associated with workplace conflict, such as conflict that can lead to attrition, which involves then recruitment, training, and onboarding expenses. It affects team morale, leading to decreased engagement and a decrease in collaboration. It involves absenteeism, and that may increase due to workplace tension. And don't forget the legal fees. Your legal fees may rise if conflicts escalate to legal disputes. So in summary, Addressing a workplace conflicts promptly and effectively is crucial to maintaining a healthy work environment, retaining talent, and minimizing financial losses. So conflicts cause a hefty price for those in the workplace. By the way, I'll put the references for these statistics in the description below. Now I'm going to guide you on this journey through the land of tough talks. I've conducted many of these conversations in places where I've worked, in my own business, in my consulting services with other organizations. So I've been there, I've done that, and I have the battle scars to prove it. So from navigating performance reviews to mediating team conflicts, I've really seen it all. And now I want to share some of the insights with you. So buckle up, folks, because we're about to embark on a journey that'll challenge you, inspire you, I hope, and maybe even transform the way you approach difficult conversations in the workplace. Are you ready for this? Yeah, let's dive in. Let's start with understanding the importance of difficult conversations. Difficult conversations are like those stubborn knots in a rope. They're tough to unravel, but avoiding them only tightens the tension. So let's delve into why these discussions pop up in the workplace in the first place, and why they're crucial to address. In the workplace, differences in perspectives are as common as coffee breaks. For instance, conflicts can rise when there is contrasting opinions on project approaches, or clashes in personal beliefs, or personal styles, or cultural differences. Now, performance issues can't be hidden forever. Eventually, they come out and bite you in the you-know-what. So, confronting underperformance or behavioral hiccups might be uncomfortable, but it's vital for maintaining productivity and team morale, as we found out. And when organizational changes are afoot, whether it's restructuring or layoffs, it's like tiptoeing around an elephant in the room. So here you need to have difficult conversations about job security or new roles for clarity, and provide reassurance to the troops. Plus, you need to be aware of what happens if you don't deal with them, such as interpersonal conflicts, misunderstandings, unresolved tensions, and all of those can simmer under the surface, waiting to be pushed up to the surface. Now, avoiding these tough conversations might seem inconsequential at first, but eventually they'll catch up to you. Think in terms of decreased productivity due to unresolved tensions, fostering a toxic work environment that's about as pleasant as a root canal, and missed opportunities for personal and professional growth. And not to mention the damage it does to relationships. You can be assured that it's easier to mend a small crack than to rebuild a shattered vase. But it's not all doom and gloom, you know. Embracing these conversations might feel like stepping into a lion's den, but the benefits are worth it. So picture this. Communications are clear and authentic. Conflicts are resolved before they erupt into something that is difficult to control. People are growing both personally and professionally. And relationships are as strong as the bonds in a family. Well, that's the magic of difficult conversations done right. So let's prepare and set the stage for success. Now, before diving headfirst into the deep end of the difficult conversations, it's essential to do some preparation work. So, first things first. Let's nail down the purpose and desired outcomes of the conversation. It's really similar to setting a destination on your GPS. You need to know where you're headed, and so you need to ask yourself a few pointed questions, like, what do you hope to achieve by this conversation? Do you want to clarify expectations? How do you want to resolve the conflict? And are you comfortable about providing the feedback? Knowing your end goal will keep you focused and on track. Now, let's talk about empathy, putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Understanding the perspectives and emotions of the party involved is like seeing the world through different lenses. So ask yourself, what's driving the behavior or reactions that she or he is experiencing? What are their concerns or fears? So by taking the time to listen and empathize, it can really help you approach the conversation with greater compassion and greater understanding. You know, time is everything, right? Planning the timing and location of the conversation is like choosing the right moment to water your plants. Timing is crucial for optimal growth. Consider factors like privacy, distractions, and the other person's schedule. You don't want to ambush them during a busy day or have a conversation in a crowded break room, for instance. So finding a time and a place where you both can focus and feel comfortable is crucial. Lastly, let's talk about rehearsal. Now, you're not auditioning for a play here, but role-playing and practicing communication strategies can be really important. It's like practicing your lines before a big presentation. Now, before this presentation, I practiced my lines as an example. It helps build confidence and ensures you're prepared for whatever happens during the podcast, as an example, or whatever curveballs might come your way. So enlist a trusted colleague or a friend to play the other party and run through different scenarios. It might feel awkward at first, but it'll pay dividends when the real conversation rolls around. Now, I have done this on numerous occasions for people who are preparing for a difficult job interview, or managers and leaders who are about to give a difficult performance review. So, how do we go about doing all of this? Really, it's about using effective communication techniques. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. Effective communication is really the bread and butter of navigating difficult conversations. So, what are some of the key ingredients? Now, I'm going to cover some of the strategies I gave in the last podcast, so please bear with me. First up, we've got active listening. Think of it as tuning in to your favorite radio station or listening to your favorite podcast, maybe this one. Uh, and you've got to really listen to catch all the nuances, the strategies for truly hearing and understanding the other person's perspective. And those include things like maintaining eye contact, nodding along, and asking clarifying questions. Now, it's not just about hearing their words, but also picking up their tone, their body language, and emotions. You know, when you show someone you're truly listening, it's like hitting the jackpot in the communication game. Next on my agenda, we've got empathy and validation, something we talked about earlier. So picture this. You're stranded in the middle of nowhere and someone hands you a compass. Yeah, that's empathy, helping navigate through the tough terrain. Now, some of the techniques for acknowledging emotions and building rapport include things like mirroring their feelings, validating their experiences, and expressing understanding. It's about creating a safe space where both parties feel heard, respected, and let's be real, a little empathy goes a long way in smoothing out the rough waters. Excuse me, I'm going to take a break. Now, let's talk about constructive feedback. Providing feedback in a way that promotes growth and development involves being specific, timely, and solution-oriented. Instead of just pointing out flaws, focus on actionable steps for improvement, then think about sandwiching the praise and the layers of difficulties that help the people make it easier for them to accept. And last but not least, we've got language choice. It's like choosing the right tool for the job. So using clear, non-confrontational language and makes all the difference in the world. Avoiding blame and defensiveness, using I statements instead of you accusations, framing things positively can help keep the conversation constructive and keep that conversation productive. So remember, it's not just what we say, but how we say it that matters. So choose your words wisely and watch those difficult conversations become, over time, easier and easier. Now, before we proceed on our next topic, I invite you again to subscribe to this channel so that you can receive updates on our future podcasts. And if you're interested in affiliate marketing, subscribe to our other channel, Affiliate Marketing with Richard. The link for this channel is in the description below. And finally, you may also want to check out our resources at our storefront. That link is also below. Okay, in our next segment, we'll move to managing emotions and conflict. All right, it's time to buckle up, folks, because managing emotions and conflict is like navigating a roller coaster. It's got its ups and it's got its downs, it's got its twists and turns, but with the right strategy, we can keep things on track. So first things first, let's talk about regulating our emotions during difficult conversations. You know, we can use techniques for regulating emotions like deep breathing, focusing on staying calm, and reminding ourselves of our end goal. It's like putting on our emotional armor and protecting ourselves from from getting swept away by anger and frustration. Remember, emotions are like waves. They'll come and go. But we can choose how you ride them. Now, let's talk about de-escalation strategies to reduce that conflict and the tension. Techniques for de-escalation include things like active listening, acknowledging other person's feelings, and finding common ground. It's about shifting the focus from confrontation to collaboration, finding solutions instead of assigning blame, and a little diplomacy can go a long way in turning a heated debate into a productive discussion. Sometimes even the best negotiators need a timeout. Recognizing when to take a break and revisit the conversation later is like hitting the pause button on a heated debate. It's okay to press pause and give everyone a chance to cool off so that they can gather their thoughts and come back to the table with a fresh perspective. And sometimes a little distance is all it takes to turn a potential showdown into peaceful resolution. And don't be afraid to hit the brakes and take a breather when things start out to heat up. I recall facilitating a strategic planning session where things got really, really tight. And so I said, let's take a break. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's take a break and come back tomorrow morning with a fresh start and another look at this. So it's an ability to put on the brakes and take a breather when things really get heated. And now it's time to move forward. It's time to resolve the issues and build relationships. So we've navigated now the stormy seas of difficult conversations. But now it's time to set sail for smoother waters. Think of it as reaching the shore after a very rough journey, and the sun is starting to peek through, and the clouds are dissipating, and there's a sense of calm in the air. So how do we move forward from here? Well, first let's talk about finding common ground and reaching mutually beneficial solutions. Now, here are a few strategies for finding that common ground. Active listening, brainstorming creative solutions, and focusing on shared goals or interests. Now, you see how important active listening is? It's so important that I've mentioned it several times during this podcast. It's all about listening and more listening, and then engaging the other in finding solutions. It's not about who's right or wrong, but about finding a breakthrough outcome or a breakthrough solution that both of you and your team member can get behind. When we work together instead of against each other, the possibilities are endless. Next on our agenda is that we got to create action plans now and follow up processes to ensure accountability. It's like drawing up a roadmap for success. You got to have a clear path forward. So creating action plans involves outlining specific steps, assigning responsibilities, and setting deadlines. And last, but certainly not least, let's talk about building trust and strengthening relationships through effective communication. Now, here we need to remind ourselves that communication is the cornerstone of building solid relationships. Relationships that are built on trust, which involves being honest and transparent and reliable. It's about keeping our word and following through on commitments and showing respect for others' perspectives. And don't underestimate the power of a simple thank you for a genuine compliment. You know, we want our relationships to flourish and to grow. So keep those lines of communication open, because when trust is strong, everything is possible. All right, folks. Before we wrap up, we've got a little homework to do. Take a moment to reflect on those past experiences that you've had, the ones where you've navigated through those tricky conversations. What was it that you learned? Where were the challenges? And where were the opportunities for growth? Remember, every difficult conversation is a chance to learn and improve. So don't let those experiences go to waste. Now, if you're hungry for more knowledge, we've got you covered. So check out our recommended resources below for further learning and development. You can also check out your books. We have articles. We have some workshops. There's always more to discover and explore. So grab your notepad and get ready to dive deeper into the world of effective communications. And last but not least, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your stories, your insights, your challenges, and your triumphs. Share experiences and thoughts with us in the comments below. Or contact us through our Fontenay Magazine Facebook. So let's keep the conversation going, because together we can learn, we can grow, and make a real difference in the workplace and beyond. So there you have it, folks. A roadmap for navigating those tricky conversations in the workplace. Let's recap what we've learned today. We've explored the importance of embracing difficult conversations as opportunities for growth and improvement. We've discussed strategies for effective communication and managing emotions and building trust. And remember, difficult conversations may be tough, but they're incredibly valuable. So don't shy away from them. Lean into them. Embrace the challenge. And then watch yourself grow. And before we sign off, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for tuning in. Your attention, your participation, and your willingness to learn and grow is everything to us. So thank you for joining me on this journey today. And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. So keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to become the best version of yourself. Until next Wednesday, stay curious, stay resilient, and keep those conversations flowing. Bye for now.